Hello, everyone out there in YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego. And today we're going to continue talking about Pretty Woman. That's right, Pretty Woman, that wonderful, wonderful piece of crap fairy tale from 1990. And it was a fairy tale, not realistic at all, not believable at all. Okay, but here I'm going to review it because that's what I do here on Chick-Flick Destruction. Okay, on this series, what I do is I take your favorite chick flicks. Okay, and this is one of the big ones, this one, okay? And I'm going to rip it apart, I'm going to dissect it, I'm going to analyze it. Yes, I said anal. I'm going to analyze it, okay, and give you a straight man's point of view. That's the point of view you never got, okay? Because I don't screw around here. I can tell you the truth, whether you like it or not. The real question is, can you handle it? Can you handle the truth? I don't think you can. I honestly don't think that you can, all right? I'm going to hit you with some hard up truth. Straight up, baby. Straight up and no lube. No lube here, all right? So you better be able to handle it, okay? If you're easily offended, if you're easily triggered, get the fuck out of here right now. I'm not one of your gay friends. I'm not one of your girlfriends. I'm going to tell you what a straight man would think about these situations, these characters, okay, and this romance, if that's what you want to fucking call it. All right, now Pretty Woman's big up there on the list, okay? This is the movie that made Julia Roberts a star, the queen of the chick flicks. This is the one that made her into what she became, okay? This big fucking, big mouth fucking bitch that she is. Okay, anyway. But anyway, the point is that we're going to dissect Pretty Woman, okay? Now, this is, what part is it? I don't even know. Is this part, this is part 7. Yeah, this is part 7, I think. This is part 7 of my review of Pretty Woman, okay? So let's get on, let's go where we left off last time. Okay, so where I was last time is Vivian, that's Julia Roberts, Vivian Ward, the hooker with a heart of gold, of course. You know, it's already realistic, right? Okay. Anyway, she gets kicked out of a store because she's dressed like a hooker and she's trying to shop and they assume she doesn't have any money. They don't realize she's got a sugar daddy who's going to pay for the fucking whatever she buys. But they don't know that, so they kick her out because she's a whore. Okay, she looks like a whore, and everyone's staring at her. Even the hotel manager like pulls her to the side and says, "Hey, listen, I can't have you here, but because the guy that brought you up here is a very special guest of ours, we will let you stay. But once he leaves, I know we're never going to see you again." So they play off this thing about like, "Oh, I'm his niece." And that's why he's here because, like, you know, at this 5-star hotel, it's called the Beverly Wilshire, whatever. At this 5-star hotel, they don't allow prostitutes in there. Okay, so they're gonna let her stay because this guy's like a super fucking wealthy customer of theirs. He's a friend of ours. Okay, so they're gonna treat him with the utmost courtesy. So they're gonna let her stay because of him. But I never want to see your fucking ass in my hotel again. Okay, we don't let hookers in here. Okay, but they're gonna play it off. This is my niece, whatever. And she tells them the story. They kicked her out of the store. She was trying to buy some clothes so she wouldn't look like a hooker, and they kicked her out of the store. So he makes a phone call. And he hooks her up with this woman that works in the women's department of some fucking major store. So she goes over there to meet with this lady, and the lady's very polite to her, very nice to her, you know. And it's Eleanor Donahue is the lady, okay? Eleanor Donahue. Now, for those of you who do not know who she is, I know who she is because when I was a kid, all I fucking did was watch TV. All right, there was an old show back in the 50s called Father Knows Best. Okay, I believe that was with Richard Dennings was the star of that, but I might be wrong. That might have been a different guy. But anyway, it was called Knows Best. It was a black and white show. Okay. And Eleanor Donahue played the hot teenage daughter on that show. It was in the 1950s. Okay. Then later on, as she got older, she just kept turning up in different movies and different TV shows. She played Chris Elliott's mom in this fucking TV show on Fox in the early 90s called Get a Life. I remember her in that. Okay. So she's been around. She's done a lot of things. But I mostly remember her from watching the goddamn Fathers Know Best reruns when I was like fucking 8 years old. Okay. In black and white. Okay. Eleanor Donahue, oh my God, that name brought back some memories. I know she's done other stuff, you know, I can't think of it right now, but I remember her from Father Knows Best, okay? She was the hot teenage daughter, all right? So here she plays Bridget, and she's the, I guess she works at the store, and she automatically can tell just by looking at Vivian that she's a size 6, you know, and Vivian's like, "Oh yeah, how'd you know?" "Oh, it's my job to know." She's like, "Okay, well, you know," she's like, the guy is he's not really my uncle. And they're like, "Oh, they never are." So she's used to that. So she's friendly to her, which Vivian is not used to. A woman that works in a high-end department store like this being friendly to her. Okay, so that's going on here. Okay, Okay, so meanwhile, Ed has his meeting. Okay, Ed has his meeting. Okay, now he has a business meeting in the afternoon with his colleagues, his employees, you could say, and then later on that evening he's going to have a dinner meeting with his clients. Okay, that's the one that Vivian's supposed to buy this dress for the dinner meeting. Okay, not the afternoon meeting. So he's at his office. He's at the afternoon office meeting. I guess this is like his Los Angeles department, but he's based out of New York. All right, so he's talking to his. I thought that Jason Alexander's character, Philip Stuckey, I thought that was his partner, business partner, but it's not. It's actually his employee. It's one of his underlings. Okay, is who he is. So they're doing this presentation here, and they have to interrupt the presentation. Okay, it gets interrupted because one of their colleagues comes in and tells them that the business, okay, the company that they're trying to buy, it's a company that builds warships for the Navy, okay, for the military. The company they're planning on buying this company on the cheap, you could say, and then selling it off for more than it's worth. The individual parts for more than what they paid for it altogether. Well, they found out that the company that they're about to take over, it is a corporate takeover. It is. That's what Ed Lewis, that's what a Richard Gere's character is. He's a corporate takeover type of guy. I don't know what they call it, like a corporate corporate tyrant, a corporate raider. Yeah, that's what he is. He's a corporate raider. Okay, he buys up all the stocks in the company and then he fucking takes over the company and sells it off. That's what he does. And he buys it on the sneaky end. You know, he's. I mean, this guy's like this. No one. He probably works on Wall Street. Okay, this guy's like a fucking Gordon Gekko all the fucking way. All right. So anyway, so they come and they go, hey, listen, to the company we were going to buy. All right, well, they just got offered. They just got propositioned a $350 million contract with the United States Navy. Okay, now this was not supposed to happen. Okay, this is going to drive up the price of the stock. Okay, they already managed to get the price as low as they wanted to go. If the company becomes more valuable, okay, then they're not going to be able to buy it. Okay, so this is going to fuck them up. All right, so they don't know what to do. I know I'm explaining capitalism to you. Sorry, but this is going to fuck them up. All right. So Phil Stuckey, he points out that the stock is going to go through the roof, you know, and because they've already invested so many hours of their business into this deal, they can't just walk away from it. Okay, they're going to walk away with a big fucking loss if this deal doesn't go through. All right. Well, Ed understands it. Ed tells, okay, everybody calm down, calm down. He's like, hey, Phil, we got someone in Washington, don't we? With some senator in appropriations, don't we? He's like, yeah, Senator Adams. Okay, get him on the phone, find out where the hell he is. Okay, there's no way in hell that this contract is ever going to go through. All right, so basically, he's gonna kill their fucking business in order so he can buy the company cheap. Okay, he doesn't want them to be successful. All right, it's gonna fuck him up. All right, so they're gonna do something very shady. I mean, this is like, oh my God, this is like some serious shady shit, okay? If y'all want to know what goes on, what Washington really exists for, okay, this is what it exists for, okay? The investment bankers, Wall Street, and the politicians, they're in bed together. In case you didn't know that, okay? That's why you always see these fuckers on TV, okay? That's why it's there. Why do you think the government's always getting bailed out when there's a recession, okay? It's the investment bankers that are getting bailed out. It's not the people. The people are losing their jobs. They're filing for unemployment. They're filing for welfare, all that kind of shit, okay? It's not them. Okay, that's where your money goes. You elect these senators, these politicians, and they control the money for the government, and they send the money to the fucking to the private sector, the investment bankers. Okay, that's the real capitalism. Okay, and this guy is just another part of that. He's just another cog in this machine. Okay, this guy has no problem getting a senator to fuck up this fucking deal for this company so that he can make his fucking profit. Okay, and kick these fuckers out on the street. Okay, he's a corporate raider. Okay. Yeah, these are the real bad guys in the world. So yes, Ed Lewis is the bad guy. Okay, he's the bad. I know he's the love interest. He's the Prince Charming, but he's a fucking asshole. Okay, he's a fucking bad guy. All right. So what he's doing is very shady. Okay. So anyway, so Ed, so they're all stressing out about this. Okay, he tells me, hey, we're gonna get a hold of the senator. We're gonna stop this fucking deal. We're gonna bury this fucking contract and appropriations, so they're never gonna. So it's never gonna get approved by the Navy. All right. Which is really bad. Okay, and so he tells Phil, he's like, hey, Phil, dude, that's why I hired you, Phil, so you can do my worrying for me. which is pretty cool. So basically, he's in charge of all this shit. All right, he doesn't know her, and of course, Phil asks her, "Okay, so are you ready for the dinner, the meeting tonight you're having?" He's like, "Yeah, I got it all set up." Because you already got a girl. Yeah, I already got a girl. Who is she? Who is this girl? He's like, you wouldn't know her. Okay, and he leaves it at that. All right. Okay. So basically that goes on. Okay, and then Bridget goes to the store. All right. So the segue is Vivian. She comes back to the hotel this time after she's been at the store. She's got her garment bag with her, so obviously she bought a dress. We don't know what the dress looks like yet. We haven't seen it yet, but she goes over to Barney. That's how Hector Lozano. He's the hotel manager. That's the guy that detained her for a minute. The other in the last video I did. Okay, and she basically tells him, "I'm sorry I interrupted you." He was talking to some Asian guy, and he said, "But I wanted to say thank you. I got the dress, you know." And he's looking at her because she's still wearing her hooker clothes. He's like, "Well, I thought that you would be wearing the dress now." She's like, "No, not yet, not yet. But I wanted to say thank you. Thank you for helping me out. You know, I appreciate it. You know." And then she leaves. Okay. And now she gets back to the hotel room that Ed's room. Okay, the phone's ringing. So as soon as she walks in the door, she goes and she answers the phone. And of course, it's Ed calling there. And Ed's like, Ed tells her what he says. Don't you ever pick up this phone again? You know? She's like, oh, don't you ever pick up the phone again? He's like, did you buy the outfit? Okay, I'm going to be in the hotel lobby at 7:45 sharp. Okay, it's not a date, it's business. I'm going to take you to a nice restaurant called the Voltaire. Be ready. Click. And then he calls back immediately after that. Okay. She's like, well, first of all, she says, okay, I'll meet you in the lobby because you're paying me to, okay? And then she hangs up, all right? He stops for a minute and then he calls her back again, okay? And she answers it again. And he's like, I told you never to pick up the phone. She's like, well, then quit calling me. And then she hangs up on him, okay? And one thing, a little bit of humanity comes out of Richard Gere in this scene. He's standing there in front of this receptionist, and this other lady's trying to get his attention, okay? I think that's Philip's receptionist trying to get his attention. He's just standing there like, like laughing about it. I guess he thought it was funny to call her back. So I think I understand the appeal here, okay? Now, in the last video, I said that they're writing him as the woman, and they're writing her as the guy. Okay, she's the one that's got to win him over with her personality. Okay, which in real life it's the other way around. Okay, so I think what's happening here is she's very playful and she's very childish in a lot of ways. You know, she acts all tough, but you can tell that there's a vulnerability there. She's not cultured. Okay, she doesn't know a lot of things about a lot of stuff. Okay, but she's very childlike and playful, and that's something he doesn't have. He's very stoic and very serious. Okay, and he doesn't fuck around. Okay, he is a shark. He is what in legal terms what they would call a shark. This is a guy who doesn't give a fuck. He'll eat anybody. Anything that stands in his way, he's gonna fucking eat it. And that's what he is. That's his personality. He's very dismissive of her as far as her quirks and stuff, as far as what she does, because he's above her. He sees himself as above her. But what we're gonna find out later on is he's dismissive of everybody. His employees, his friends, his girlfriends. Okay, his business partners, he's dismissive. Even the people that work at the hotel, he's dismissive of everybody. He treats everybody like they're beneath him. It's not just Vivian. Okay, like I said. Okay, Edward Lewis is the bad guy. He's the bad guy in this movie. Okay, he's not Prince Charming. He's a fucking asshole. All right. So that's going on. Okay. So later on, Viv goes to Barney again. Okay, and she's still wearing her hooker clothes, and he's like, I guess the dress didn't fit. She's like, no, I need your help on something else. He's like, what is it? What can I help you with? Okay, so basically they go into the ballroom, okay, which is where the catering, okay, where they do all the banquets and stuff in the hotel, and he shows her how to, he gives her a class, basically. Barney gives Vivian a class on dining etiquette. Okay, a fine dining etiquette. He shows them where all the forks go, where the napkin goes, what this glass is for, what that glass is for, how many courses there are in the meal, that kind of shit. Okay, she, like I said, she's from fucking was it Millette, fucking Georgia, fucking Hicktown Trailer Park. I mean, she doesn't know any of this shit. Okay, she doesn't understand any of this stuff, so she needs a crash course on it. All right, and I think this guy Barney understands that. Okay, so he's trying to help her out, even though he knows that she's not a niece. She's a fucking hooker. Okay. But he treats her with respect. Okay, I kind of like that. It's very endearing about him. He treats her with respect despite the fact that he knows exactly what she is. Okay? So he teaches her all the formal dining procedures. Okay? Okay. Now, later on, when Ed is done with his meeting, he comes back to the hotel. When he checks in at the front desk of the hotel, Barney confronts him. Now, this is the first time that they meet each other. He's, "Hey, my name is Barney Thompson. I am the general manager of the hotel." Blah blah blah. He's very, and Ed is very dismissive of him too. He's like, "Oh, you're there, but you're there, but what do you want?" That kind of thing. And he says like, "Oh yes, well, I was talking to your niece. The young lady that is accompanying you." He's like, "A niece?" He's like, I don't have a niece, Barney. I'm an only child." She's waiting. He's like, "Well, I have a message from her, from the lovely young lady, Vivian, that she is going to meet you in the lounge." He's like, "Okay, she's a very intriguing young lady, Mr. Lewis." He's like, "Ugh, intriguing, huh?" And then he walks away. "And who are you again?" Then he walks away from him, dismissed him, and he tries to pull out his business card. I'm Barney Thompson, the hotel manager. He puts the card back. Okay, he walks away from this guy, just completely dismisses him. Okay, all right. So he meets up. He walks into the lounge, and I gotta tell you something. Okay, this scene right here brought back some memories. No, I've never been to this hotel before, but I have been to the Drake in Chicago. Okay, and this automatically brings to mind a woman that I knew, that I still know. Okay. And she was a Julia Roberts fan. It wasn't this movie though. It was not this. It was a different movie. Eventually, I'm gonna have to. I'll give you the whole story when I review that movie. Okay, the other Julia Roberts movie I'm thinking about right now. But seeing that posh, nice lounge in the hotel, it brought back memories of the Drake Hotel in Chicago. That's in downtown Chicago on the Gold Coast there, and yeah, I mean the classic furniture, all the brass, the old school tile and all that kind of stuff. It brought all that back. And sure enough, there is Vivian sitting at the bar by herself. And I gotta tell you, the makeup people, the wardrobe people, they did a great job. I'm a fucking straight guy. I don't know shit about dresses or makeup or earrings. I don't know where the fuck she bought that dress. I don't know who designed it, how much it cost, or none of that fucking shit. But I do know if something looks good and if it doesn't look good. And she does look good in this dress. It is very elegant. Okay, obviously, the costume department spent a lot of money trying to figure out what outfits to dress Julia Roberts in. And they did a good job here. Okay, she does look elegant. She looks like she's going to the fucking prom. Okay, she looks really, really good here. And her hair is done up. Now, what I can't understand is I don't think that Vivian Ward could have done her own hair that way, okay, because they got rid of the perm, okay, but they had a professional stylist do her hair. Okay, her hair actually looks a lot like my date's hair did at the Marine Corps ball. Okay, when she had a professional do her hair before that event. That's where she looks like she's had her hair professionally done. Okay, and she's wearing this gorgeous dress. Okay, so I gotta admit, even with her big fucking mouth, Julia Roberts was much younger back then. She was obviously in her 20s when she did this, so she was at the prime of her sexuality, at the prime of her looks. She was a young and up-and-comer back then, not the hag that she is today, okay? And she looked really, really good there. So I'm going to give props to that. She looked beautiful. She looked elegant. She looked classy. She did not look like a fucking street hooker this time, okay? And that was the point of this scene, to show you that, hey, looks aren't everything. Bull fucking shit. Looks are everything is what they're trying to tell you here. She doesn't look like a hooker anymore, so now we have to respect her. You see what I mean? You see what I mean? That's what they're going for here, because she was disrespected earlier. Okay, so now because the men respect her now she can respect herself. You see? Yeah, I know. Did I tell you a gay guy wrote this shit? All right, yeah, I see everything you're doing here, you fuck. All right, so that's going on here. Okay, and he sees her. He tells her Ed's exact words are, "You look stunning." Who the fuck talks like that? You look stunning. Only gay people talk like that, okay? You look fabulous. No, you look... Oh my God, yeah, he tells her that. He tells her she looks stunning. Okay? The black hairs, the earrings, the décolletage, all that kind of shit. Okay, so like a gentleman, he presents his arm, and she takes it. And together in a two-dimensional pan, both characters with equal space for both of them walk towards the camera and out of that lounge together. Okay, very good, very good how the scene is. Very very masculine and feminine. Very courtship. Okay, so we know this guy's an asshole, but this guy went to charm school or something because he understands etiquette. He understands how you talk to a woman, how you present yourself to a woman, how you compliment a woman. He understands all these things on an intellectual level. Okay, but he's not used to expressing it emotionally. Okay, this woman makes him feel like a young man. Okay, now I don't know how old Julia Roberts is here. I'm guessing she's probably 25, maybe 24, maybe 22. I don't know, maybe 26. I don't know. Okay, but I do know that Richard Gere is 40 years old when he filmed this movie. So he's obviously much older than her, and it's obvious he's got the gray hair. She doesn't. Okay. So like he's an older school type of courtship procedures, you could say. Okay, so he has that pedigree that he knows exactly how to court a woman. All right, which is something that nobody really does anymore. Sorry, that's old school shit. Okay, that's the shit that turned on your grandma. Okay, not anymore. Your great grandma, actually, not anymore. All right, remember this movie's fucking 32 years old. All right, so that's going on. So they end up going to the dinner. Okay, he says, "Shall we go to dinner?" And they end up walking. They go to dinner. Okay, so the next scene, they arrive at the restaurant, and the hostess is walking them towards the table. It's a four-top. There's already two men sitting there. Okay, and she's fidgeting. He tells her stop fidgeting. Because she's obviously clearly uncomfortable in this dress and in this restaurant. She's trying to play it off like she's one of them, even though she's not. Okay, and they arrive at dinner, and we meet the two men that are already sitting there. One of them is a very old man. I recognize the actor. His name is Ralph Bellamy. This guy is old school. He's been around forever. Now, most of you know him from Trading Places, that movie with Eddie Murphy and Dan Aykroyd, where they were the shady. He was one of the shady Wall Street guys that framed Dan Aykroyd's character, all that. Yeah, and they bolstered up Eddie Murphy's character. Okay, Ralph Bellamy's got that voice, that graggly voice. Hey, I'm Ralph Bellamy. You're gonna know the way I talk, by the way I do this. The way I talk. Ralph Bellamy. Okay, like we've seen him. Okay, this guy, he looks like 150 years old here. Okay, this guy's been around forever. Okay, he was in fucking Rosemary's Baby. This guy was, like I said, Trading Places. I remember him from 1941, The Wolfman. From 1941 with Lon Chaney. I remember he was a character, one of the main characters in that. All right, he was like the local sheriff that was hunting down the Wolfman. Okay, so this guy's been around forever. Okay, he was a young man back then. It was an old 1941 movie. Okay, but also he was in some made-for-TV movie that my brother loved called Nightmare in Badham County. If you've ever seen that movie, oh my fucking God. I think my brother, he taped that on VHS because yes, we're old, okay? And he watched that fucking made-for-TV movie. It's about a women's prison that made-for-TV. He watched that movie over and over and over again. Holy fucking shit, dude. Della Reese was in it. Chuck Connors was in that. He played the evil sheriff that rapes this girl, and he frames them. They go to prison. It's a prison farm. And even the dad from the Brady Bunch, Robert Reed, plays the warden. He's a cruel piece of shit, too. And yeah, and Ralph Bellamy was the corrupted judge that sentences these innocent young fucking UCLA students to hard labor in a woman's prison farm. Yeah. And Ginger from the fucking Gilligan's Island was one of the fucking guards. They weren't guards; they were trustees. One of the lesbian ones. Yeah. Anyway, the point is he's been around a long time. Sorry, I went off on that rant. Okay, it wasn't a rant. I know about this shit. All right. So it's Ralph Bellamy. I've seen him before. Ralph Bellamy. Yeah, so it's Ralph Bellamy, and he's probably like 95 years old here. Okay, he plays this guy named James Morse. He owns the company that Ed Lewis, Richard Gere, is trying to take over. He owns that company. That's his company. Okay, he built warships in World War II for the government. Okay, for the Army, for the Navy. All right, and he's there with his grandson. His grandson is played by Alex Hyde White. Okay, he plays his grandson David Morse. Okay, Ralph Bellamy is James Morse. This is David Morse. Okay, now nothing much to know about this guy. Although I do know who he is. I know who he is because I'm a comic book fucking nerd. Okay, and he played Mr. Fantastic in the fucking never released Fantastic Four movie from 1994. Roger Corman had a budget of $1 million, and the film company they were going to lose the rights to the Fantastic Four if they didn't make a movie within 7 years. So they had to make a movie really fast. They hired Roger Corman to do it. They gave him a $1 million budget, and this guy was cast as Mr. Fantastic. And this happened after he did the Pretty Woman movie. Okay? He was cast as Mr. Fantastic. Okay, in the never released Fantastic Four movie. That movie never saw the light of day. Nobody ever saw it in a theater or on home video. Okay, in fact, once Marvel Comics got bought out, the new CEO destroyed all the prints of that movie. Okay, but that movie does exist, and I've seen it. I have it here. In fact, all comic book nerds have seen this movie because it was bootlegged. It was bootlegged in the comic book conventions. The picture's low quality, but everyone has seen the movie. It is fucking horrible. It is a terrible movie, but believe it or not, I hate to say this, it's still the best Fantastic Four movie ever made. Anyway, he played Mr. Fantastic because I'm a comic book nerd and I know that shit. And just to prove to you how much of a comic book nerd I am, I also recognize his hand. Yes, he played Sean Connery's character from Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, Indiana Jones Part 3. He played River Phoenix, who was the young Harrison Ford in that movie, the young Indiana Jones. He played the father of River Phoenix's Indiana Jones. He played Henry Jones Sr. Now, they didn't show his face in the movie, in the flashback, in the beginning of the movie, but they did show his hand, and that was his voice. He was the voice, and he played Henry Jones Sr. in the beginning opening scene for Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. Obviously, later on, Sean Connery played the role. Okay, but yeah, that was him. So now you know who he is. He's done a lot of shit. He's always a background character. He's never been a leading man in anything, except for the Fantastic Four movie, and nobody saw that except for me and other comic book nerds. Okay, so they're there. So now we know who they are. Okay, so they're there. Okay, now when they all sit down together, then she stands up. When she stands up, the other three guys stand up as well. Okay, she's like, I just got to go to the bathroom. Ed tells her where it is. Okay, I'm just going to the ladies' room. And Ed's like, shall I order for you? And she's like, yeah. And then she's like, yes, please do so. Okay, so she's kind of like, she just almost gave herself away there. Okay, by speaking in street language. You know, you don't do that here. This is a fucking 5-star restaurant. You know, you don't fuck around in this place. Okay, so the food arrives and stuff, and she's intimidated by it. She doesn't know what the fuck it is. She has to look at everybody to see how they eat it. Do you eat it with a fork or do you eat it with your fingers? You know, she's not sure. She asks Ed. Now they're talking. They're in the middle of their meeting. Okay, and Ed's like fucking dismissive of them, what they're saying, and just pays attention to her. And she's like, well, which fork do you use? Where's the salad? He's like, the salad comes at the end of the meal. He's like, well, that's the only one I know which fork to use on, you know? So she looks over and she sees James, the old man, eating it with his fingers, so she eats it with his fingers. It looks like some sort of pate on toast, okay? Meanwhile, David Morse is talking. He's basically telling Ed how they love their company. It's very important, and that because they created their company, they should have the final say on the direction of their company. Okay? Like I said, Ed's a corporate raider. He's trying to take them over. He is taking them over. They can't really stop him. Okay? And so that's going on here. Okay? Later on, of course, James, the old man, starts flirting with Vivian, going, hey, you know what? I never know which fork to use either. You know, that kind of thing. Okay, so he's trying to flirt with her a little bit. Okay, later on, they serve escargot. Okay, now Vivian doesn't know what the fuck this is. It's snails, obviously. We all know what it is, but she doesn't know what it is. And he tells her, because she doesn't know what escargot is, she's starting to give herself away, that she's not really a sophisticated debutante, you know, like she's presenting herself to be. She's actually has no culture at all, doesn't understand this shit. So Ed catches that cue, and he tells her, it's snails, it's French, it's a delicacy, try it. Okay, then he goes back to his meeting, okay? So meanwhile, David Morse, the grandson, is still trying to explain to Ed the value of his company, of his grandfather's company, okay? And David says, Louis, you know, he calls him Louis, even though that's Ed's last name. He says, Louis, if you get control of the company, and I don't think you will, but if you do happen to take control of the company, what do you plan to do with it? And he doesn't even look at David. He's just like eating his food and going like, well, I'm going to break it up and sell it off, the pieces. Okay? And the whole time he's doing this, he's actually, when he said that statement, he wasn't looking at David, he was looking at Vivian. Okay? And he was showing her which utensil to use to open up the escargot, because they're still in the shells. So he's completely dismissive of this guy, of this meeting, these people at this meeting. He's not even paying attention to them. He's playing with this girl, you know? So James is like, I'm not thrilled about you turning my 40 years of hard work into a garage sale. It's like, Mr. Morse, you know, with the price that I'm offering you, okay, for your stock, I'm going to make you a very, very rich man. Well, I'm rich enough. I just want to have my shipyard. And Viv, like, is fumbling with the scarf, and she shoots one off across the room, and the waiter, like, catches it. He goes, oh, happens all the time. And she's like, oh, slippery little fuckers. You know, so, slippery little suckers, aren't they? She's embarrassed. And of course, James is like, Dave is like, trying not to laugh now. So now he realizes that this thing is all an act. This woman is not who she presents herself to be. Okay. So that's going on here. Okay. He tries not to laugh. And James is like, you know, I knew your dad. His name was Carter, wasn't it? Well, he's not half the bastard that everyone said he was. And Ed says, like, no, I own the franchise on that. Okay, but it doesn't matter because he's passed away. And then they said, yes, that's what I heard. I'm sorry. And Vivian's like, I'm sorry too. You know, he's just like dismissive about it. Like, he's like, okay, Mr. Morse, okay, you called for this meeting tonight. Okay, what can I do for you? You know, and he says, James says, leave my company alone. I can't do that, Mr. Morse. Okay, I own 10 million shares. And he doesn't even look at him when he says this. Like, he's just distracted. He's just dismissive of both of them. He gives them no respect. So it's not just Vivian he acts this way, right? It's everybody. You know? And James, like, you know, he's like, I own 10 million shares. I can't do that. Well, we'll buy him back from you. You don't have the money to buy him back. But we will. We're signed up for a contract with the United States Navy. We're going to build them 10 battleships. He's like, there is no contract, Mr. Morse, okay? That contract is buried in appropriations, in an appropriations committee, and that's where it's going to stay. Well, how did you do that? What you know, you get dirt, you got some dirty politicians in your pocket? Exactly. Mr. Lewis, you play hardball. Yes, I do, sir. Yes, I do. And so they get it. It's like, well, I'm leaving. And they both get up. They're disgusted with this meeting. This guy's a total fucking asshole trying to take over their company. And I don't blame them for being upset. I don't blame them. He's a shady fucking corporate raider. That's what Ed Lewis is. He's a piece of shit. Okay? They do apologize to Vivian. Good night, madam. It was nice to meet you. Very lovely to meet you. And then James, the old man, goes up to Ed and tells him, she's like, Lewis, I'm going to tear you apart. And Ed's like, and I'll be looking forward to it. Bye. And that ends that scene. And that ends this part of my review for Pretty Woman. I'll be back shortly with the next part. Thank you for watching this long, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.